Happy Christmas everybody. It's just a year since I was given the privilege of being able to help you all more. I hope you've heard of the 12 days of Christmas. Here's a starter.
On the first day of Christmas,
Dad, where can I get a new starter motor for my tractor?
Oh. Hello. If you have a Nuffield built from about 1960 to 1967, which takes this type of starter motor, as far as I'm aware, we are in the unfortunate situation is that new ones are not available. But first of all, let's have a look at what else was fitted to Nuffields. This starter motor here is the one with the lever on top that you put in manually. They're available for around about £200 I think. And then the later starter motor, this one, which was fitted from 1968 onwards with the 465, that's available for about £120. But it doesn't fit. The difference is that the diameter of this part here is 4 inch. The earlier two starter motors, that diameter there is 3 3/8 of an inch. Sorry, 3 5/8 of an inch. So let's have a look at what can be done. Over here, I'll bring this to the front now. We have a starter motor, brand new, off eBay, from a company called Anglo Agri for £75 plus VAT, delivered to me here in the UK. And this starter motor is for a Ford 1000 series tractor, 2000, 3000, 4000, etc, etc. And the reason I've picked this starter motor to start with, because it doesn't fit yet, is that the aperture here, the diameter, is 3 5/8, correct for a Nuffield. The bolt pattern's the same. The gear is a 10 tooth pinion. Nuffield's had an 11 tooth pinion, but the later 465 and Leyland starter had 10 teeth, and they are interchangeable. It doesn't seem to matter. So let's have a look at this and what we can do with it. But the reason I thought this is a good starting point, here in England we've got plenty of Nuffield and Leyland parts about, but if you're in New Zealand or South America and perhaps got an old Nuffield, the availability of parts is going to be very difficult. But this starter motor, being made for a Ford 1000 series tractor, I'm taking a guess that you will be able to get them at quite a good price in any country of the world, because I suspect this is come from the Far East. It's a copy of the Lucas M50 starter, and I'm hoping that it's available worldwide. So next I'm going to show you what we do with it. But first of all, we need to look at some Nuffield engine plates, and I'll show you the difference. Here we have two Nuffield engine back plates to fit the BMC diesel engine that Nuffield used. The first one here on the left was fitted from the introduction of the BMC diesel in 1954, and it was used through till about 1959, 1960, when they switched over to this one here, which was used then on until 1968, when the 465 was introduced, which had a different backplate and a different starter motor. The difference between these two lies in the size of this bulge here to take the nose of the starter motor. If we look back at this one, we can see that the bulge stops about 15mm short of the back of the backplate. The later one had a bigger bulge to take the nose cone of the solenoid engaged starter motor, and if we look here, there's only about 5mm of metal sticking out. So we've got a much bigger bulge here to take the nose of the starter. The adaptation that I'm talking about doing here today will fit into this one, just drop straight in. Just drill the holes out as I've shown you and cut the bit of extra aluminium off. It fits straight in. If you want to fit it to the earlier model, it's a bit more involved. You'll probably have to cut 5 to 6 millimetre of metal off of the length of both the shaft and the support bearing on the nose of the starter motor. You also might want to spend some time in here first with a die grinder, taking off high spots. And the way I fitted it in the end was to spray some black spray paint in there, and while the paint's still wet, push the nose of the starter motor in, pull it out, look to see where the paint's been picked up and grind a bit off. It took me about 2 hours to make it fit, but it can be done if you persevere. I'll just give you a close-up here of the two back plates. The difference when you get close up is quite obvious. Okay, I've now fitted the Ford starter motor to the Nuffield bell housing. The other difference is the holes here need to be drilled out to 1/2 inch. I think they're 7/16 or 3/8 on the Ford, so you just need to put a 1/2 inch drill through the holes in the starter motor. As you see, it fits on neatly, no problems there. The problem is on the inside, and now we're going to take a look at that. As you can see, it fits in there neatly. There's a bit of clearance, no problems. The problem is this bit down here, and that's going to have to be cut away. And what we need to do is get a felt tip and mark where it needs cutting. And if I just run a line down here, all that bit's got to be cut away, because that will be in the way of the flywheel teeth. You won't get it in the bell housing with that in place. So the next job is to cut that away. Okay, now I've got the starter motor out. I've marked on it with a felt tip the aluminium that we need to remove. And first of all, I'm going to drill a hole on the corner so we get a nice radius. There's less likelihood of it cracking in the future. So I've got to half it the drill that I drilled these holes out here with. I've done that one. That's the small hole, the Ford size. And I've drilled that up to 1/2 inch to fit the Nuffield. But now I'm going to put the drill just here and drill a hole through so I get a nice radius on the cut. I've now drilled a 1/2 inch hole on the corner there of the cut so that it's got a nice radius, and I'm going to cut this out in a minute. While I've got the drill, I'd already drilled that one out. I've just drilled these two out as well to 1/2 inch so that they'll fit the Nuffield back plate. Anybody wanting to produce a starter motor like this, I just thought I'd take a good close-up of things so that you can see just how much of the metal I've cut away. I've now cut away the unwanted aluminium with the grinder. The next thing is to try it on a tractor. As you can see now, I've fitted the starter motor to this 6-cylinder 5.1 BMC engine I've got sat here that's not been started for a while. So let's have a closer look at just how it fits. As you can see, it's a pretty close fit in there. And get a bit closer. I don't know whether you can see there, but the bit of cut away is only just clearing the teeth of the flywheel, but that's all it needs to do. As long as it clears, that's enough. I've ground a flat on the side of the support bush to match the one that's further round for when it was in the other position, because when I went to fit it, it fouled, so I quickly ground that off, but it's in now. So we'll put some battery leads on it and see how it goes. Right, now I've put a can of diesel on it and I've put a battery and some battery leads on it. We'll see how it goes. First of all, we'll start with the stop out, just see how it cranks over. I think we've got an air bubble, let's try again. Well, as you can see, it's cranking over pretty well. I've obviously got some air in the fuel somewhere. We'll bleed her up and have another go in a minute. I've bled her up again now and had her run it. So let's have another go. And I've moved the camera back a bit so you can see the top of the exhaust. Music to my ears. Happy tractoring, everybody.